At my 61st birthday, I sat alone with dinner and a $500,000 check meant for my son. He said he was working late. Then my neighbor showed me a video. He was laughing, drinking, celebrating her, the woman who shattered my marriage. What I did next shocked everyone. They say birthdays are supposed to be joyful, a time to feel remembered, cherished. Mine wasn't. I turned 61 this year. I'd spent the entire week preparing for what I thought would be a celebration. Just me and my son, Aaron. The one person in this world I still gave everything for. I live in Denver now. A quiet house tucked behind some overgrown lilacs. Just enough room for me, my 2 old rescue dogs, and a mind full of memories I wish I could forget. That morning, I made his favorite, pasta primavera with grilled chicken, garlic knots, and that homemade berry pie he always asked for as a child. I even lit candles. I wanted the evening to feel warm, like home. But Aaron never came. At first, I told myself traffic, then maybe a delayed flight. He texted just before 7, "Sorry, Mom. Last-minute investor pitch in LA. Can't get out of it. I'll make it up to you." I stared at that message so long my food went cold. And when the pie began to shrink in on itself, collapsing from the inside, I realized I had two. Around 9, I sat on the couch, still in the dress I'd picked out for the night, when my neighbor Karen knocked on the door. "Margaret, have you been online?" she asked. I think you should see something." She handed me her phone. The screen played a video, flashing lights, clinking glasses, loud music. Aaron's voice came from behind the camera. "To Dad and Danica. 30 years strong." I blinked. Danica. The woman who destroyed my marriage. Aaron was in New York, not LA, at some private, glittering party for his father's anniversary. Laughing. Toasting. Not a care in the world. And then came the part that broke me. Mia, my granddaughter in a little red dress, tugging on Danica's arm, looked up and said, "You're the best grandma ever. I want you at my school concert next week." I didn't hear what anyone said after that. The sound faded. My hands shook. I could barely hold the phone. Aaron had lied. So easily. So casually. And for what? So he wouldn't have to explain that he'd rather celebrate the woman who took everything from me? I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the birthday table, the flickering candles long since gone cold. And the memories started creeping back, ones I buried deep. Ones I thought I'd sealed behind the years I spent surviving. My marriage to Charles Holloway wasn't built on love. It was built on expectation. My parents were proud to see their daughter marrying a high-ranking tech consultant. He was older, polished, respected. And I was just a young software engineer working my first coding job. They said he'd bring stability. They never once asked me how he made me feel. After Aaron was born, Charles insisted I stay home. "You should be focused on raising our child," he said. I agreed at first. I thought I was doing the right thing. But months turned into years. And every time I asked about returning to work, he brushed me off with that same tight-lipped smile. I started noticing little things. His late nights. His sudden work trips. His coldness in bed. I told myself it was just stress. That he was tired. That marriage was supposed to be hard. Then one afternoon, I opened his laptop to print a document. A mistake, apparently. An email window popped up. Hundreds of threads, all from one sender, Danica. Danica who? I wondered. Then I saw a photo attachment. The same woman Charles had once introduced as an old college friend. They weren't just writing. They were sharing. Laughing. Flirting. Planning. He was sending her money. Gifts. Even a recommendation letter for a university teaching position. My hands trembled as I scrolled. One message stood out. "Thank you for the funds, Charles. The research lab wouldn't have happened without you. You've always believed in me more than anyone else." She even signed off with "Love always." I remember clutching my chest like someone had shoved ice down my spine. I waited until nightfall. Waited until Aaron was asleep in his crib. And then I confronted him. He didn't even try to deny it. "Danica deserves success," he told me. "She's brilliant. She never had the chances you had. You're too emotional, Margaret. You never understood the bigger picture." That night, Aaron cried and cried. His formula had run out. I'd reminded Charles to pick some up, but he hadn't. Too busy funding someone else's dreams. I ended up boiling oatmeal with trembling hands while rocking Aaron with my hip. I remember thinking, this is it. This is my life now. When I tried to talk again, when I begged him to stop, to fix this for the sake of our son, he shoved me just once. But enough. Enough for my back to hit the sharp edge of the table. Enough to make me gasp. Enough for me to realize I was married to a man who would watch his wife fall and feel nothing. I left the next morning, with Aaron on my hip and nothing but a battered suitcase. Charles didn't try to stop me. He moved Danica in before the divorce papers were even cold. I started over. Scrubbed offices at night. Learned code again by day. Took freelance jobs, one at a time. Slowly, I worked my way back. I climbed up the ladder of the tech world until, somehow, I landed a position as CTO in a cybersecurity firm. And through it all, I poured every ounce of strength into raising Aaron. I bought him his first computer, paid his tuition in full, helped him build his company when no one else believed in him. And still, he lied to me. He chose her. That night after Karen left, I sat in silence. I looked at the tech incubator contract I had signed, ready to hand over the facility to Aaron as a gift. A $500,000 investment into his future. My future, too. I had imagined helping him mentor young coders, seeing his dreams grow under a roof I provided. Instead, I picked up a lighter and watched the edge of that contract curl into flame. I didn't sleep. Again. But this time I wasn't crying. No, this time I was planning. And it was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke up sore from the couch. The dogs curled at my feet like they sensed something in me had shifted. Maybe they did. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about how to fix things or who to forgive. I was thinking about how to take back what was mine. I stood in the middle of my dining room, the birthday decorations still hanging limp in the silence. I pulled down every ribbon, every card. I packed up the untouched food and gave it away to the shelter down the street. I deleted Aaron's number from my phone. Not in anger. Just clarity. That was the difference now. That afternoon I called my lawyer. Ed, I need to transfer property ownership, I told him. That house Aaron's living in? It's still in my name. I want it back. He paused. Margaret, are you sure? Yes, I said. More sure than I've been about anything in a long time. When Charles and I split, I left everything behind. Our house, our savings, even our shared furniture. All I took was Aaron and the old family car. Years later, when Aaron got married, I bought that Denver house for him and his wife. I used the bonus I received after leading a major security rollout at the firm. He wanted it under his name, but I refused. You can live in it, but I keep the deed, I said. I should have known then. Deep down, maybe I did. Ed agreed to start the process. I spent the next week moving forward. Quietly. Deliberately. I packed up my rental in the city and purchased a Lakeview cabin outside Boulder, small but modern, with high ceilings and floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out onto still water and trees that blushed pink in the sunset. Then I used part of my patent sale earnings to start something I'd dreamed of for years, a digital literacy hub for women, especially older women like me who had been pushed out of tech, left behind by the very systems they helped build. I named it Code Bloom. We offered free workshops, mentorships, and a space to learn without fear or shame. I hired single mothers, retired teachers, and 2 brilliant young developers who had aged out of the foster system. We filled the walls with post-its and possibilities. And I made sure it was everything I never had when I was starting out. You know, I always thought if I gave Aaron enough love, enough support, enough opportunity, he would never look elsewhere. But I realized something else in that silence. Some people don't want what you give. They only want what they can take. About 6 weeks after my birthday, Aaron showed up. I was locking up the hub for the evening when I saw his car pull into the lot. He looked thinner, like he hadn't been sleeping much. He stepped out and called, "Mom! Wait, please." I stood there, keys in hand, expression calm. "Aaron, can we talk?" he asked. "Just for a minute. Please." I didn't move. "Go ahead." His voice cracked. "My company, it folded. We lost 2 investors. Payroll collapsed. I didn't know what to do. And Dad had a stroke. I didn't speak. He can't move much now. Can't even use his left arm. Danica left. Took everything from their joint account. Just walked out one day and never came back. There it was. I felt a strange stillness inside me. No joy. No revenge. Just the final piece sliding into place. "So now you're here," I said slowly. "Because you need me." "No," he said quickly, then hesitated. "Yes. But not just for help. Mom, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have lied to you. That night, I should have come to you. I didn't know how to face you. I thought you'd understand." I laughed. Not loud. Just enough to make him stop. "Understand what?" "That you chose the woman who helped destroy my marriage over the one who gave you life." "Danica was always good to me," he mumbled, looking down. "She was around more than Dad sometimes. She supported my ideas. She supported you with the money your father siphoned out of our future. The same money I had to replace by working 18-hour days just to keep you in school. My voice was flat, controlled. He said nothing. I burned the contract, I said. The incubator, the check, it's gone. He looked up, shocked. What? You can't be serious. I am, I said. And I'm selling the house. He blinked. You mean my house? No, Aaron. My house. It was always mine. You lived in it because I allowed you to. That ends now. He stepped back like I'd slapped him. I have nowhere to go. You have your father, I replied. He can't even feed himself. You made your choices, I said. I made mine. Good night. I got in my car and drove off, his figure shrinking in the rearview mirror. That night, I slept better than I had in years. A month later, Teresa, my older sister, came knocking. She hadn't spoken to me in nearly a decade. Back then, when I divorced Charles, she said I was selfish. That I should have endured like a good wife. That women like us didn't get to throw away stability. Now she was standing on my porch with her purse clutched like a lifeline. Margaret, she said, Mom and Dad are sick. They need care. I'm sure you can afford help, I said. She hesitated. Their pensions only cover so much. You know how Dad is. He's still mad you walked out on the family. I stared at her. Then why are you here? I asked. She shifted. Because I'm drowning. And they're asking for you. I stepped outside. Closed the door behind me. They weren't there for me when I needed them. They told me I was a shame. That I'd brought dishonor to the Holloway name. And now, suddenly I'm useful again? Teresa's eyes glistened. You're not going to help? I'll do what the court requires. Not a penny more. She looked like she wanted to scream, but she didn't. She left without another word. And I stood there, watching her car pull away, feeling nothing at all. That's the thing they don't tell you about healing. It doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it comes with silence. And for me, that silence was a gift. Weeks passed. The air turned colder. The lake outside my window began to freeze at the edges, and snow started dusting the tops of the pine trees near the cabin. Life settled into something peaceful, something firm. I ran Code Bloom during the day, helped my team organize weekend workshops, and came home to my dogs in the evening. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and more importantly, it was mine. Then one morning I got a call. A number I didn't recognize. Margaret Holloway? A soft voice asked. Yes. This is Windview Nursing Center. We're calling to inform you that your father, Gerald Adams, has passed away. I stayed quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't ask questions. I only said, thank you for letting me know. Before she hung up, the nurse added, your mother is still here. Frail but stable. She asked if you'd come. I hung up without answering. I hadn't seen my father in nearly 11 years. The last time I did, he told me that leaving Charles was a disgrace. No daughter of mine should live like a stray, he said. Then he slammed the door in my face. My mother never objected. She sat quietly on the couch, eyes down, hands folded like a shadow beside him. So no, I didn't rush to their side when they grew old and helpless. Why would I? Still, 2 days later, I found myself standing in the hallway of Windview, a bag of groceries in my hand, unsure why I'd even come. I wasn't there for them. I guess I was there for the last page. To close the book. When I walked into the room, my mother looked up. Her face, once firm and graceful, had withered into wrinkles and quiet. Her hands shook as she reached for me. Belle, she whispered. She used to call me that when I was a child. Just that. Belle. I didn't say anything. I set the groceries down and adjusted her blanket. We sat in silence. I didn't know how, she said after a while. To stand up to him. I didn't know how to protect you. I was scared. You never had to protect me, I said quietly. Just believe me. She reached for my hand, and I let her take it, for a moment. Then I stood. I've arranged the funeral. You'll have everything you need for the coming months. Will you come to the service? She asked, eyes pleading. No, I replied gently but firmly. I've mourned him already, and the version of you I once needed died long ago. She didn't argue. I think she understood. I walked out of that nursing home lighter. Not long after, I heard from Aaron again. But not directly. It was a news article. Former startup CEO files bankruptcy, cites medical debt and family abandonment. The photo was old, him in a crisp navy blazer, smiling, full of hope. I looked into his eyes and saw none of the boy I raised. Still, I expected it. What I didn't expect was what came next. One afternoon, I was working the front desk at the hub when the bell above the door rang. I looked up. There she was. Michelle. Aaron's ex-wife. The woman I once welcomed like a daughter. The one who left quietly after their marriage fell apart. She stood in the doorway, holding hands with a man I didn't recognize. She looked tired, but elegant, her hair pulled back, lips painted, eyes wary. When she saw me, she froze. "Margaret," she said softly. I stepped around the counter. "Michelle." The man beside her cleared his throat. "We'll wait in the car," he said to her and stepped out. She stayed, arms wrapped around herself. "I'm sorry to barge in like this," she said. I didn't know this place was yours." "I founded it a year ago," I said. "We teach women coding and basic cybersecurity." She nodded, looking around. "It's beautiful. What brings you here?" She looked down. "Aaron and I finalized the divorce last month. He was seeing someone else." Danica introduced them. They'd been meeting for over a year behind my back. Of course. I wasn't surprised. But I didn't feel anger anymore. Just fatigue. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. "And I meant it." She hesitated. "I just wanted to say thank you. For everything you did back then. You were always kind to me. I didn't see how much you carried." I didn't respond. There was nothing more to say. But before she left, I asked, "How's Mia?" Michelle smiled sadly. "She's growing fast. Reads like crazy. Says she wants to build robots one day. I tell her she gets that from you." My chest ached at that. As she turned to leave, I watched her go. That was the last I saw of her. But not the last surprise. 3 months later, my cafe side project, the book-themed coffee shop next to Code Bloom, went viral. A college student had posted a glowing TikTok review. "Best mocha ever. And the owner teaches coding to grandmas." Icon. Within days, people started showing up in droves. Students, freelancers, even local influencers. I had to hire more staff. I raised salaries. I added more tables. Life was blooming again. Then one day, as I was restocking sugar packets at the counter, a familiar voice said, "Hi." I turned. Lily. My granddaughter. Now almost 10, standing shyly beside a woman I didn't recognize. "Mom dropped me off," she said. "She said I could come say hi." I crouched down, surprised at how fast tears filled my eyes. "You remember me?" "Of course," she said. "Your Grandma Margaret. I saw you once at a park. You waved, but Dad told me not to go." I nodded slowly. "Would you like some cocoa?" She smiled. "With whipped cream?" "Of course." She stayed for half an hour. Told me about school, her favorite books, her robot toy. When her ride came, she hugged me tightly. "I'm glad you're my grandma, too." And just like that, she was gone again. But this time I didn't feel pain. I felt hope. A week later, a text from an unknown number buzzed on my phone. "Aaron. Mom, I know I don't deserve anything. But Lily talks about you all the time. She says you listened. I'm glad she has that." I read the message 3 times. I didn't reply. Not because I hated him. Because I was finally living a life that didn't revolve around being needed by someone who only remembered me when he had nothing left. And that was its own kind of peace. I often sit on my porch now, overlooking the still lake, a warm mug in my hand and my 2 old dogs curled at my feet. The quiet doesn't feel empty anymore, it feels earned. For the first time in my life, the peace isn't something I chase. It's mine. Completely mine. Not long after Lily visited, I received another letter. A real one, handwritten. The envelope was familiar, the same penmanship that once wrote thank you notes for Father's Day cards. It was from Aaron. Inside, just a single sheet. "Mom, I don't expect a reply. I just wanted you to know. I understand now. Everything you did. Every sacrifice you made. I see it, even if I didn't before. I'm sorry." I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer with a few other things I couldn't quite throw away. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. Some apologies are too late to fix anything, but not too late to hear. And that was enough. Life went on. Code Bloom expanded. We launched a small scholarship program, then began offering job placement services for women over 40 returning to the workforce. One of our former students, Camille, landed a role at a major fintech firm. She called me in tears. "I didn't think this kind of life was still possible," she told me. I knew exactly how she felt. One rainy evening, as I was closing up the cafe, the last customer slipped out the door, umbrella in hand. I turned off the lights, then glanced outside. A man stood under the awning, soaked from the shoulders down. It was Charles. He looked like time had sanded him down. Thinner. Slower. One side of his face slack from the stroke. His eyes met mine through the window, unsure. I didn't want to open the door. But I did. He stepped inside, dripping rain onto the floor, breathing heavy. I didn't come for anything, he said quietly. I just wanted to see you. Once. I nodded but didn't speak. He glanced around the cafe. You did all this? Yourself. I nodded again. Every inch. There was a long silence. Then he looked down, his hands trembling slightly. Danica left me. Took everything. Mia doesn't return my calls. Aaron barely looks at me. The man I was, he ruined too much. You did, I said. Not harsh. Just truth. He looked at me, pain in his eyes. I know it's late, Margaret. I know. But I'm sorry. That word again. Always arriving after the damage had long been done. I thought of the night he pushed me. Of the nights Aaron cried from hunger while Charles played house with another woman across the city. I thought of the years I worked my hands raw while he supported someone else's dreams. I don't hate you, I said. But you're not welcome here. He nodded. I watched as he shuffled out the door into the cold rain and disappeared into the night. I never saw him again. Weeks later, I heard he passed away quietly in a care facility. No funeral announcement. No family gathering. Just a quiet end to a loud man. I didn't cry. I didn't feel much at all. It was as if the story had already ended years ago, and this was just the epilogue. One crisp morning in autumn, I sat with Lily again. Michelle had started bringing her by every other week, just for cocoa and stories. She never asked questions about the past, just watched, listened, and quietly rebuilt what Aaron had broken. Grandma, Lily asked once, do you ever miss when you were young? I smiled. Sometimes. But I don't want to be her again. Why not? She asked. Because she didn't know how strong she was. She didn't know her worth. She took a thoughtful bite of her cookie. But you know now. I do, I said. And I meant it. Lily grew more curious with each visit. She'd ask about my work, about the women I helped. One day, she asked if she could join one of our beginner workshops. She brought her little laptop, bright pink stickers on the lid, and listened intently as I taught a group of women how to use basic code logic. I caught her smiling at me from across the table. I smiled back. That was the kind of legacy I wanted. Not just coding knowledge, not just business success, but resilience, self-worth. A girl who could grow up knowing that even if everything fell apart, she could rebuild from scratch. One night, much later, I sat alone in the quiet of my living room. The fireplace crackled gently. I reached into a box I rarely touched and pulled out a photograph, me, Charles, and a baby Aaron at his first birthday party. I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened the stove and dropped it into the fire. It curled quickly, darkened, then disappeared in a puff of smoke. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was free. They say a woman's greatest power is her silence, her ability to endure. But I don't believe that anymore. Silence can be survival, yes. But strength? Strength is leaving. Strength is saying no. Strength is living on your own terms and refusing to be a background character in someone else's life. I spent decades being a wife, a mother, a provider, a fixer. Now I'm just Margaret. Just me. And that's more than enough. Sometimes the past whispers to me, voices from the broken years. But they don't haunt me anymore. They remind me who I used to be, so I can appreciate who I've become. My story isn't sad. It's strong. And it's mine.